when I found him with that gun in his hand, my first thought was, I don't know if he's just going to hurt himself or if I'm in danger at this moment.
I'm going to win 100 first place awards because it's never been done before in arm wrestling.
And let me tell you another thing, too. Win or lose, it's okay.
That's amazing, and I love that you said that, but there is zero chance on that day I'm losing.
Yeah, I believe it. Yo, it's your boy, it's Phil WamBam Benamino, and it's another WamBam Wednesday. You know, the show about ordinary people who have done extraordinary things. And as always, before we get started, baby, subscribe to the show. Click the link down below. Make sure you subscribe. Like it, love it. If you don't like it, tell us. We want to know it all right? Today's guest, we're so thankful. Hopefully, everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Today's guest, I'm thankful to be here. Together, one of the strongest team in the world. You're about to see this. One of the most decorated team in the world. You got Mr. and Mrs. Michael Todd here in the studio today. What's up, guys? How are you today?
We're good. How about you, babe?
I'm making it.
You're making it, Rebecca? 23 world titles arm wrestling. I know, Rebecca, you got a few too, don't you?
I don't have any world titles. I have 7 national titles, but we cannot forget, I'm also the Caribbean champ.
There you go.
It smoked the Caribbean.
There you go. Smoked the Caribbean. So, you know what? We're here to talk about, Thanksgiving was last week. I'm sure you ate pretty well there. You're looking a little big, Michael.
Well, I'm trying to get bigger.
You're trying to get bigger.
Yeah.
Since
the last time, I'm probably about 50 pounds bigger than the last time I did that.
Yeah, so there's no dieting in that, man. You're super now, right? You don't have to worry about it.
It's just a lot of calories. Like, it's easy to get a lot of calories if you're eating junk. It's hard to eat a lot of calories when you're trying to eat healthy. It's a lot more.
Let's talk about that real quick, because what's the difference between putting on weight and losing weight? Everybody thinks, you just get to eat whatever, but you actually still got to be very disciplined. What you're putting in.
There's a dirty bulk that you can do and just basically eat whatever you want and just an excuse to get fat, right?
Right.
I'm bulking. Well, no, that's just an excuse to eat bad.
But does fat help you in arm wrestling?
So if you look at World's Strongest Men, the super heavyweight, they're big guys, they have a little bit extra fat. I mean, Mariusz Pudzianowski was an exception, but most of the guys carry a little bit extra fat. And the general consensus is, yes, it helps you. Your tendons are more lubricated, gives you a little extra. I want to be fit as I can be, but I have basically, when Rebecca and I talked about this goal, it's like I'm going to do everything I can to be as athletic and fit as I can be as I pursue the super heavyweights.
So, Rebecca, what do you feed this guy? I mean, come on.
What don't I feed this guy? I try to sneak some healthy stuff in there, but mainly his diet is filled with, it's not terrible, but like rice, meats. This week we're switching to more red meat, which I know a lot of people will cringe about that.
Yeah.
But he needs the red meat. He needs the iron and stuff like that to be able to work with. And then he can't have anything plain, so he's got his brown gravy that goes on everything.
I'm just like, no, brown gravy makes everything feel good.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It feels good too. I ain't gonna lie.
But I started a sourdough kick last year, or actually earlier this spring, and I do a lot of sourdough pancakes, sourdough French toast, sourdough bread, and he's not shy with carbs at all, so he's eating that.
Now, what about you, though? I mean, does it affect you, too? I mean, you look great, obviously, but do you have to worry about that because you're eating the same stuff as him, or no?
Okay, yes, I do have to worry about that because my plan is usually pretty different from his plan, but I don't want to be in the kitchen all day for both of us, so I'll try to just have smaller portions of some of the things that I make him, and some of them I just can't even touch.
Yeah.
Well,
it's definitely a different way of being an athlete where you can eat whatever you pretty much want. Is he still doing the cakes? I know he loves cake.
Okay, that is our cheat meal.
Our cheat meals do.
There's no such thing as a cheat meal. He's eating everything. Come on.
They turn into cheat months. So, yeah, we love cake. White cake with white buttercream icing is our favorite. And we can put away a half sheet cake probably in 3 days tops.
We can do it way quicker than that.
Yeah. But with ice cream.
Yeah. So, we do a lot of ice cream. So, those are cheats, man.
Can you eat a whole cake, bro?
My best ever is a half sheet cake in under 10 minutes.
But can you eat a whole one?
Well, a full sheet cake?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I could do that.
I think we should try that, man. We need to put that challenge out
there. I feel like we should try that.
I think we should try that, man. I think we need to get you a cake. We need to do a sheet cake challenge. We need to see. And to the viewers, you should let us know whether you think you can finish it or not.
I'm saying right now I can't finish a sheet cake, but I will put a big ass in it. I'll tell you that for sure. I think I could still knock out a half of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What time? How much?
I mean, is there money involved? I mean, I still think I can
Yeah,
probably
we'd
do 10
probably get a
minutes.
few dollars in there.
A half
I think I
sheet.
do a half sheet cake in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, then why couldn't you eat a full one if you took it
Just too
20 or
much
30?
sugar. It's too much volume. Plus, it's too much sugar.
Well,
I
what
mean,
if,
it'll
what
not,
if you
it'll pass. I'll pass out. Like,
what if
shortly
you
after.
don't drink the water with it?
So if I don't drink the water and don't have the ice cream, I can probably get a little bit further.
Man, I think the last time you were here a couple years ago, man, you did a peanut butter one.
It was going to be a 10,000 calorie.
That's what it was. It was 10,000
10,000 calorie, one meal, peanut
Failed
butter
that.
and jelly.
You failed.
Loaf of bread, a thing milk. It was too much, man. It was too much. I failed epically.
Yeah, you were sick after that.
Yeah, I didn't.
I remember
pretty
that.
miserable.
You know, going back in time, looking back during that journey, that's when you had a really big problem with your bicep. In fact, it was torn.
Yep.
And you injured yourself, and you thought retirement might be the answer. At least that's what everybody else thought. You had something different in mind, and I'm thinking about looking at how you are today. Look at how big you are today. Obviously, you got your arm fixed.
Right.
You went under surgery and everything. How did it feel being back, man?
Yeah, so it all started in October of 2022. I was doing a Beat the Champ at like this equipment expo for Gravely Mowers, and a couple hundred people a day. Second day, some pros showed up. I went through them pretty easy, and like one of the top 5-10 guys in North America showed up, and I let him jump on me pretty good, and I felt this zipper feeling my bicep, and I was like, oh crap, I think I might have just torn my bicep. Fortunately, it was just a partial tear, but I had to back out of a world title match that I had like 4 weeks later. So they came in, I got some stem cells, we got the ultrasounds, you could see that it grew back together after like a month. So I cut way down to 231 pounds, which I hadn't been in years.
231.
Yeah, and I went for the light heavyweight world title, and I won the first round. Had some questionable calls round 2. Ended up losing that match. So I'm back on tour. We got the RV. We're traveling around the United States. I'm going to win 100 first place awards because it's never been done before in arm wrestling. My third event of the year. I already won one division in the second division. Busted it over. We slipped, and my bicep ripped right off the bone. And you're like my first call.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, bro, I just tore my bicep. You got any doctors?
Right.
So, I mean, you hooked me up, and by that Friday, I was down here having surgery.
Yep.
And which is crazy because it wasn't just a bicep. I had all these fractures in my arm over the years, and I had about a tennis ball amount of bone that had to get taken out. And everyone prior to that said elbow replacement, and you won't be able to lift over 30 pounds. I'm like, well, that's not an option.
Right.
Dr. Edelman said, hey, if it's a bicep, I got to take all this bone out. So he took it all out. The bicep tendon was shredded north to south, so I had to retubulize it, resuture it, and then put it back together. And I think he did 3 points of fixation. He's like, your bones will split apart before your tendon ever comes back out. So I was like, all right, challenge accepted.
Right.
So I gave myself 13 weeks, which is the hardest 13 weeks ever because I've never trained less than more than a week in my entire life, right? So 13 weeks, no training. And that's when it was like, okay, can I get back to where I was? Do I want to get back to where I was?
Well, dude, I remember, man, it was a very down time in your life. I mean, you weren't certain about the future. This is all you ever really did, right? I mean, arm wrestling, you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And traveling the world doing it. I mean, we're not just talking about the United States. You've been all over the place.
Right.
And Rebecca, I want to bring you in on this because what was it like being by his side? I mean, I know you guys obviously have a love for each other and you don't care whether he's arm wrestling or not. You just want to be healthy. But seeing him being at such a fragile spot in his life, being this big monster, and he had big sponsors and everything else, and then boom, something freaky like that happens, and you just lose everything, your whole life changes. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I went from having a husband who was confident and positive about the future. He just expected good things to happen, to someone who questioned everything. But it wasn't just his arm he was dealing with at the time. It was his arm, but also it was his way to take care of his family. And then all at once, his mother was diagnosed with a terminal illness.
Well, she also took a fall in assisted living and ended up in the ER, and then she went from there to hospice.
Yeah.
And it was literally like weeks apart.
Those everything was just compounded.
Like the perfect storm.
Basically, for Michael, I can't say this for sure, but from where I stood, it looked like he was questioning everything he believed in.
Yeah.
And he'd lost his faith at that moment. He was angry. He was unsure.
Well, it's got to take it takes a psychological.
It was tough.
A battle there in your mind.
Yeah, but I will tell you, I'm going to jump in right here because Dr. Elamine, who you recommended for Michael to fix his arm, he turned out to be more than just a surgeon. He would FaceTime Michael and be like, "Hey, listen, this what you're going to go through, and this is where your mind is right now. But you're a champion, and you're a champion for a reason. This isn't the first time you've had to pick yourself up and move on. So he jumped in a couple of different times with very key conversations and key thoughts, at least to, kind of push Michael into the right direction.
Right. Michael, going through that time frame, and obviously I know you lost your mom, and very, very dear to you, and I know that's something people grieve. You grieve every day. I still grieve, the loss of my father. Life's not the same. It's different, but you have to go on, and you have to try to continue to, idolize them and keep their spirit alive within what you're doing in life. Did you find the transition through it all that, hey, I'm going to do this for Mom, and I'm gonna show her that she had a good son, and I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to quit? Or were there times where you're just like, you know what, I'm done?
Well, like she said, I was always the eternal optimist, right? When I lost Mom, I'm from the South, Arkansas, and my entire life I just heard, God's gonna come back, rapture's gonna happen. My mom said I heard that, her parents heard it, but I believed it. Like, I just thought I'd never be on earth without my mom. And then when she wasn't here anymore, it was just a reality I couldn't deal with. Mm-hmm. We tried Wellbutrin, and I think Thanksgiving last year, she comes upstairs, got a gun in my hand, and I'm not that guy, right? Mm. And so
you had a gun in your hand. You were ready, thinking,
"Oh, I was done."
You were like, I don't want to be here.
I didn't know why I was here anymore. Like, it just didn't make sense to be here without her, right? Then we switched to Paxil. I tried to come off Paxil. Similar thing happened.
So these are antidepressants, obviously.
Yeah, she immediately started researching Wellbutrin and said something about like a lot of suicide attempts, and she just flushed them immediately. Then God's worked some amazing ways in my life throughout this. Like, I ended up Alleviant Health in Arkansas. Came to, I found them, and they put me through ketamine treatments. I'm not a person who does drugs or likes to be out of control. Like, I don't drink much. I like to be in control. So a ketamine high was not something I was looking for. I just wanted to be better, right? I needed to be reset. After the first treatment, didn't like it. She taught me into going back. I had to do 6 treatments. And then I go back for a second treatment, and she's with me every step of the way, right? We even documented the whole thing. But I sit there during that treatment multiple times, and like, I'm under, right? And I'm talking about how my match is going to go this year. Like, I'm going to beat this guy, and then I'm going to beat this guy, the months and everything.
So what's in your mind is the arm wrestling.
Well, a couple of guys changed, but everything I said was going to happen happened, right? The vast majority of people thought I should retire, just like you were talking about that, and what, how'd that go? And I found a purpose, right? So there's this guy, Levon Sagnishvili. At this time, I didn't know what my path was, but in that treatment, I'm like, it's the path is back to the top, right? But most of the world thinks it's impossible to beat him. He's never lost as a professional since 2016. He's over 400 pounds, 6'3", strongest hand and wrist the sport's ever seen.
Huge. You got to pop that up.
Yeah,
he's huge.
He's crazy. Like,
a monster.
He's got an 11-inch wrist, probably the strongest hand and wrist the sport's ever seen. 21-inch forearms, 24-inch biceps. Massive individual and a very good arm wrestler. And I just told Rebecca, I was like, I feel like God is going to work through me, and I'm going to show the world all things are possible. Because on my mirror in my gym, it says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Absolutely.
And
Philippians 4:13. It's right here on me, baby.
Yeah, brother, yeah.
Right here on me.
Right? So that's it. I quit. 23 world titles, 36 national titles, years of doing this. It used to be about me. It used to be about, look at me, look at all this hard work, and I don't even want the credit. God gave me an ability to endure, no matter how many times I get knocked down, get back up, right? So I get in the gym and I do the work. And then my first match was in February. I won that. My first international match was in April, and I didn't realize that we'd talked about it previously, but I didn't realize it on that day until like 3 hours before I looked at Rebecca. It was 6 months today from my mom passing. And that was my first international match back. And I had a perfect game plan. And then it went all out the window because I was so overwhelmed with emotion.
Got emotional.
Yeah, and I thought, I was going to just crush this dude and have this amazing victory. But what I ended up doing is I had one of the hardest matches of my life. But that's what I needed. I needed to prove, because I had lost a lot of confidence. I'd lost a lot of belief. I needed to prove that I could win a dogfight. Like, I was known for winning the unwinnable match. Right. Worst possible position in the world. Yeah, Michael Todd can still win from there, right? Mm-hmm. And that was
Don't count you out.
Yeah, that was one of those examples. It was horrifying positions, and I just wasn't going to lose that day. Then 6 weeks later, I'm in Dubai, and these are at 253 pounds. It's 115 kilogram weight category for the heavyweight world title. That was basically, so I beat the number 8 guy, then I beat the number 9 guy, I beat the number 6 guy, and that's how I was moving up the ranks.
You know, let's really, I want to step back real quick and ask, because your very first match after your surgery, what was that like? Was that mentally tough on you, wondering if your arm was going to hold up? And, you know, when you grabbed, like, how it was going to handle, or did it surprise you that it was stronger than you thought it would be?
Well, I have a training partner who's about 420 pounds, and he's one of the top 5 guys in North America, probably top 20 in the world.
Yeah.
And
Who's that? Who's that?
Corey West.
Okay.
Rebecca nicknamed
The gorilla.
The gorilla.
The gorilla,
Because he,
okay.
he looks similar to a gorilla. And so I had been pulling on him. So my first match back, what we did is we had the Monster Factory, right? You're on our supporter Wall of Fame.
Yeah.
So it was a $5,000 addition, a 5,000 square foot addition to our 2,000 square foot gym. So it has a complete stage, all that stuff. Athletes come down. So we had the perfect place to do live events. And I told Rebecca, I was like, how about we have my first match back here? So it's a controlled setting. I don't have the stress of travel. You know, and when you go to these events, there's a conference, there's a VIP thing, there's autographs. It's a lot to deal with when your first match back. So I was like, let's just do this here. And I brought one of the top 10 guys in North America down, and I ended up winning 3-0. So it was great day, awesome, you know. But I actually thought I would be stronger. Like he gave me more resistance than I thought. So I was kind of down a bit. I was like, well, I was beating Corey so well, I really thought I was going to beat him better. And but then we just went back to drawing board, and like I said, one April 20th, one in June. And at that point, which is crazy because I messaged you, I was like, hey, I'm getting a shot at the heavyweight world title in Orlando. Because my next match was going to be for the heavyweight world championship. Well, my opponent got injured, and they had no suitable replacement who could get a visa, because the other strong guys were like Russian or Ukrainian, or they couldn't get here. So I wasn't going to have another rankings match, because my goal was never heavyweight world title. It was super heavyweight world title, right? I didn't care about the 115s. It was just going to be, I was going to hang out there for a minute and then go after the big goal. And the moment that match got canceled, I was like, give me a super heavyweight. I'm done cutting weight. So what was it? 4 weeks?
He was tired of being
like,
hungry.
let's eat, baby.
Let's
He was
eat.
so tired
I
of
was going to
being
bed
hungry.
hungry every night. Go to bed hungry every night. And then I guess I probably put on like 30 pounds in the next.
You know, Rebecca, I got to ask you, man, what's it like with the roller coaster, man? I mean, here he is. He's at a point where he's fragile. He's got a gun to him. You know, he's wanting out. Now he's back into it. Now he's arm wrestling again. You know, you have your Monster Factory there, but now you're traveling. You're going to Dubai. You're going all over the country and stuff. I mean, what is it like? It's got to be ups and downs totally all the time.
You know, I am glad that I'm not someone that has to have complete structure and my life planned out. You know, luckily, God gave me a spirit that is a little bit more, you know, let's just go with whatever's going on. But when we're talking about where he was and when I found him that after Thanksgiving, that was a huge wake-up call for me, because he had told me for probably a decade that if something had happened to his mother, that he was not going to be a good person anymore. And I was like, how can you say that? She didn't raise you to not be a good person. And he felt like his mother was the only thing that was holding him to goodness here. And I didn't really blow it off, but I was just like, everybody has to deal with grief. You know, grief is coming for you.
You take offense to that a little bit?
A little bit,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit,
Can
because
imagine.
hello, you know.
Right.
But I'd gone through a tragic loss myself. I'd lost my father in a car accident the day before I turned 27. And the thing about that was I did go through horrible depression. But depression's been a part of my life since I was a teenager, you know. But I'd never seen him go through a depression. And so when I found him with, nope, not going to do this.
Go ahead.
When I found him with that gun in his hand, and I don't want to alarm anyone, but my first thought was, I don't know if he's just going to hurt himself or if I'm in danger at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was not my husband.
Right. No.
That was not the man.
It's all right. Take a breath.
Yeah, he, something else, you know, came for him. And At that moment, you find out that the people that you least expected will show up. And we had these two guys, we call them the Davids, that were hanging out, fixing some things around the property, but also playing ping pong or whatever with Michael, you know. And I called them and I said, no, I didn't call him. I texted him and I said, I need you here now. They didn't call me. They didn't text back. They just showed up. And from that point on, I couldn't handle it. It was bigger than me. So all I could do was turn it over to God. And I more or less handed him over to his friends. And I said, we got to find something that works for him, because he was stuck. You know, you have the stages of grief that you have to go through. And he was stuck in anger and denial.
Yeah.
And he could not walk through to where he could just feel the pain and live in acceptance. So there had to be something that would help him. And he mentioned ketamine. And one of our friends mentioned ketamine treatments to us. I knew nothing about ketamine. Sorry. Okay. I knew nothing about ketamine, but I started doing research on it. And the thing about it was the ketamine treatments actually came, and this might be a little bit too much science, but I'll be very quick about it. The ketamine treatments actually came about over 2 decades ago, and they started working with children that had severe either monopolar disorder or bipolar disorder. And they found out that ketamine treatments, with its very first treatment, was stopping suicidal ideation in its tracks. And I was like, that's what we need. So we found a provider, talked to them about what was going on, and they got him in right away. And his score, when he first went there's this depression score. And to put it lightly, he was at the very tops of being at risk for suicide. Like, he was there. Right. The very first treatment. The second treatment that we went
Which
back.
you already knew at that time.
Yes, I knew, because, you know, it doesn't get any closer.
Right. How'd you talk him down with the gun?
You know,
because you know, people hear about this, and, you know, fortunately and unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that can't talk somebody down. You know, what'd you do? Well,
surprisingly, even though I'm known to be a nurturer and I'm a nurse and I've dealt with things like that, surprisingly.
See, God put you guys together for a reason.
Yeah, none of that came to me at that moment. All that came to me was anger. And I was so angry.
Yeah.
And I basically, without saying too many words, I was like, what are you doing right now? What do you think you're going to do with that? You know, and he honestly, I don't even think he knew. He just wanted it to stop. And that's all we needed to do, was figure out how to get him off that cycle. And with the very first ketamine treatment, we came back, and his depression scale, it held true to the studies that I read. He was no longer at risk at that moment of suicide. He had not had any more suicidal thoughts over those next few days, where he was having them, and I didn't know this, several times a day.
Yeah.
I was like, have I been with you? He said, no, I'll be driving down the street, and I think about hitting that person that's coming towards me. I think about running into that tree. And he said, and it's just an overwhelming thought and urge that enters my mind.
Yeah. But, you know, and there's so many people out there, and to the viewers listening, you know, suicide's real. And if somebody's, you feeling it or you hear it, don't take it lightly.
No.
Because, you know, if it happens, there's not a second chance.
And the thing is that so many people, because we've been very public about this, very public on his platforms about what he's gone through. And the thing is, people are like, why are you talking about that? I mean, you don't want people to know your business. If everything has to have a purpose, right? And if us going through this, him living this, if our story can keep one person from making that decision,
Amen,
and following through with it, then that's worth it.
That's right.
That is worth a little bit of criticism to me. You know, that is worth losing a few followers because they realize he's not bulletproof.
You know what? And I think that's so super unofficial, right? You know, people are like that. Anybody that you lose isn't somebody you want to be around anyways, or you want them following you
No.
or being in your court. That's what this show's all about. It's about the ordinary being extraordinary. But you know, you're normal people. You know what I'm saying? It is okay, Mike, to cry. You know what I'm saying? Crying shows that you care. You have feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I would be upset if you didn't cry. I'd be upset if you didn't care. You know what I mean? That's what's important. So never be ashamed of any of that. And I'm happy to call you guys both friends. You know, and I'm happy to that you are who you are, both in real time, on the camera and off the camera. And you know, you're not just seeing the highlight reels. You're seeing who you really are as individuals and people. And I think that's what's important, because people get mistreated because people are under the assumption that there's somebody that they're really not. They don't realize there's a human being inside. You know what I mean? You're a big guy, you're a big monster, and when you're arm wrestling, you're screaming and yelling, and it's intense and it's everything else. But at the end of the day, you got feelings too. You know what I mean? And you're dealing with shit in life that everybody's dealing with. So yes, if you could help somebody overcome what they're going through, absolutely 100%. Why wouldn't you? You know, why wouldn't you? Because you don't know what to do until it happens. And sometimes when it happens, it's too late. So hearing the story and just understanding, hey, how did you approach it? What did you do about it? Doing the treatments and stuff. It actually worked. That's fantastic.
Well, you know, oddly enough, and Michael will tell you this, before he lived this himself, he didn't get it. He didn't understand it.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, why can't you just choose to be happy? You know, just make a choice. You know, nothing in life is that bad.
Our brain doesn't let us.
No.
You know what I mean? Our brain doesn't let us. And that's the thing. You know, your brain is the most powerful thing in your body, of course. You know, and it's unfortunate. But, you know, it's great that he had you to stick by to do the research and to figure out what it was going to take. Not everybody has that. Let's just face it. Not everybody has that extra partner, somebody that loves you and is going to find out, what can I do to help? You know, and they're going through this alone, and they don't think there is help. You clearly know that there is, you know?
Right.
Did you feel after, when you turned the point that, hey, okay, I'm no longer suicidal, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling alive, and, you know, this was the reason?
I mean, it really just, like I said, I didn't understand why I was still left, and then I just, everything came to me in treatment that I'm just going to do through Christ what the rest of the world thinks is impossible, you know? So that really, it's been my whole, like, everything, right? Like, obviously, you know, I adopted my daughter, so.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of cool stuff, but I've been so focused on this what I believe is a mission, you know, that I'm just a vessel that God's using to you know, to just make people into believers. I mean, and it's so funny because you'll see all this negative stuff back on social, and it'd be even a joking comment like, "Oh my God, if he beats Lavana, hell, I'll be a believer." You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the point. You know, that's the whole point of this. It's just, I'm not ashamed. I'm truly blessed. I've always been very open about my faith. It's just, like I said previously, I took a lot of the credit, and I just, I don't feel that way anymore. You know?
He was a lot about himself.
Yeah.
Previously.
Yeah.
But, you know.
You can get like that, though. You get built up.
Yeah.
You know, he's been built for many years doing what he's been doing it well, you know.
So he's gone from, you know, being a lot about himself to now when I watch him, the confidence is there, but it's a confidence in a different way. It's a confidence that, hey, I put in the work. The result is his.
Right.
You know, whatever he decides.
Right.
I'm just there to be the warrior that I'm supposed to be. And that has taken a whole lot of stress off of him. But
well, because there's a difference between confidence and cockiness.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You know, maybe he was a little cockier before, and now he's actually confident. Yeah. You know, so, you know, the purpose is different.
I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, adopted my daughter. So they were going to get married in January, and then she ends up having a procedure she has to have done in December. So they decided, let's go ahead and get married, now. So this was like, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a Tuesday at our house. We had all the stuff done, and there's a big wedding coming in March now.
Okay.
But
Congratulations, first of all.
their officiant ghosted them on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
The wedding's on Tuesday. So they're freaking.
You should have called WamBam. I've done a few officiants. In fact, I married some people on New Year's with Kelly Clarkson.
Saw that.
Yes, you did. So, I don't have quite that, but I told Rebecca, I was like, just go get me ordained. I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I got to marry him.
There
the
you
very
go.
Next day. So super cool. That's just.
Well, the cool thing about that is people online have been calling him Minister Michael Todd.
Yeah.
And now we actually have a
all
certificate.
giving
Yeah, that's
God
right.
the glory and everything.
That's right.
I told her, I was like, well, you've done all she's built our platforms, videography, photography. She's got all that stuff. I was like, well, you can be the wedding photographer. I can be the one who does this. We have a whole new business. But yeah, so it's just, man.
You've done a lot of cool things, dude, in your life. When we really look back, you've been in movies, you were in SWAT, so you've got some TV, footage. You've traveled all the world. You've been successful in everything you've ever done. I know you were divorced, met Rebecca. Look at the love that you guys have and share because you see it. It's so public and so open, and how you guys stand each other by each other's side. And I wanted to bring you in, Rebecca, because every time you watch Michael on TV, whether it's a film, whether it's he's arm wrestling, there's always you in the corner. You're always on the side, and you're just rooting right down to. It's not like you're closing your eyes, not like but you're just so fired up and just there for the support, regardless. And I've seen he won a few and he's lost a few, but you have the same look every single time. I know you're nervous. Well, what's it feel like when he's out there and he's arm wrestling?
Okay, so I have an anxiety issue, and when I'm watching, when he's acting or talking on stage or something like that, it's just proud. That's what I feel, right? But when he is arm wrestling, I am scared to death. So I prefer to go back and watch it afterwards again, just so I can really experience the excitement. But I actually said today, because I was editing one of his videos from his last match, and I said, you never stop impressing me. Just when I think I know exactly everything he's going to do, he never stops impressing me. There's always something new to learn. And he's going to learn something every time he's in a match. He's going to learn something from his opponent. So he's not just that. Sometimes you hear people called a one-trick pony. He is not, because he is capable of learning while in the match. I just think that's very impressive, and that's probably why he is the champion that he is. Yeah.
How do you feel arm wrestling is right now as a sport? Do you feel like it seems like it's growing, obviously, but how do you feel like where it is from where it was?
Oh, so I've been in this thing, this is my 35th year, so I've seen the ups and downs. I've seen us getting close to TV deals or being on TV and then losing those deals or whatever. We've never had a fan base. And social media, COVID really helped arm wrestling out a lot because there was no live sports. So people went online, they found arm wrestling, and it created a fan base. So East versus West, all these events in Istanbul and then King of the Table in Dubai, they were great events, but, they weren't here in the States, right? They're over.
How do you afford to do things like that? Like, going to Dubai and going, over, that's a big commitment.
Well, yeah. So
do they pay well? Like, what's it like?
In my contract, they obviously everyone knows you just cover mine and Rebecca's expenses, and I get appearance fee and win bonuses or whatever, right? So we still have to board the dogs where we're going, so that's always an expense. But yeah, traveling is just something that's always been a part of it. But yeah, arm wrestling pay still isn't up to the par of other professional sports or anything, even the lower tier sports yet. Yeah. There are a handful of us through social media and arm wrestling can make a living. That's one of the things that was crazy when I blew my bicep. I had some 6-figure sponsors, and within a month they dropped me. I'm like, I'm still going to compete. I didn't understand it why they dropped me. And then our social was we had like a couple 100 million views in 2022, 2023, and we still had a bunch of views in 2023. But they went from pushing long format where you're getting like 7 cents a dollar or 7 cents a thousand views to short format, you get like, or $7 a thousand views to like 6 cents a thousand views.
Right.
So we took the huge hit. So between that and, losing the sponsors, I went from having a surplus every month to like losing money every month. And that's essentially been the ride we've been on for a year and a half. We're just dealing with it, right? I mean, something's going to come back around. And I told her the other day, I was like, listen, whether we get the sponsor, this year's been a success. We only got down to the fourth match. I won that one as well in the super heavyweight. That was guaranteeing me a match for the number 5 guy in the world, which is Gennady Quickvenia. He had beaten me in 2022, so I just got back from Istanbul. I just beat him. I won 3-2. Yeah, I won 3-2.
Yeah, you're number 5
I told
now, right?
her I wanted to win 3-0, but apparently God wanted me to win 3-2. So, I mean, it was actually controversial. He actually didn't pin me one of the rounds, but they gave it to him. Doesn't matter. Like, the match taught me a lot because I had done a lot of specific arm wrestling training and not on the table so much. So I did not have enough confidence in how strong I was because I didn't know because I'd been on the table. So my game plan was just to take control of the center of the table and then take his wrist, take his hand, and then out arm wrestling. What I found out afterwards is I probably had enough strength to just blast him right off the, just outside right through him in the strap. I didn't know it because I had been on the table. But that was a great thing to learn because my next opponent, Hermes Gasparini, he's Italian, number 3 in the world, great guy. We actually pulled.
I got to pull for the Italians, man.
Well,
I'm just
you
saying.
don't have to. But,
you don't have to.
Because you're supposed to be in there
Unless
watching me.
unless you're arm wrestling.
I'm the one arm wrestling.
That's
Yeah,
Now, weren't you in the crowd when he beat Devin?
Of course, I was
HWL
there.
406?
Of course, I was there. Devin was running his mouth. I was giving it back to him.
I love that.
You
fact.
know?
So you must be there then.
Yeah.
Well, his next match.
So we're gonna get into this real fast, right? But
Are
2020.
you going against Devin again?
No, Devin. So I'll get to that story in just a second.
All right.
So Devin's dropped weight because he went after Levon Sagnashvili twice. He lost both times, 6-0, 4-0.
Devin's
hurt,
a freak.
injured both
he's a
times.
He
freak.
got injured both times. One tore his bicep muscle, and one it didn't tear the tendon, but it actually shredded his bicep muscle, and the other one really jacked his back real bad. So the king of arm wrestling currently is a guy named Levon Sagnashvili. He's from the Republic of Georgia. Since 2016, he has not lost a right-handed match. Since he became a professional, once he got out of the amateur rankings of the WF and the organized events like that were like our Olympics, he has never lost a super match ever. And most of the world thinks he's never going to, and that's the whole purpose of this, to show the world all things are possible. Now, Devin got a crack at him in 2021, and then he got another crack at him this year. It was 2021, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
2022. He got a shot at him in 2022, and then he got a shot at him this year. Devin was close this last one. For round 1, he cracked his wrist, held him, but he was fully maxed effort out, and the Levon came with a bent wrist press. Ended up getting the win, but after that, he had a different route, went through him 4-0. So Devin he's like, okay, I'm going to go down in the lighter weight divisions. And he saw me coming back. So Devin has a lift called Devin Laird Pronation Lift. Well, he had the world record at 165. I had tried doing it after surgery, maybe 127, 129. Then I maybe got to 132 or something. Didn't really put much effort into it.
I think there's actually a video of me laughing at you.
Probably so, yeah. You
Yes,
can look it
I
up.
was
Check it out.
loving
It's
it,
out there. And then Levon did a 176. So Levon beat his record. So I never really did that. I never did.
Is that where you grab the thing, the bar?
pronation,
Yeah,
grab
okay,
off
I've
the
seen
ground.
that. I was wondering what
So,
that was about.
Yeah, so it's
Are you sure that's weighted? You sure it's not foam, man? You just
Yeah.
making it look like foam.
You know,
'Cause I almost did that. I was like, oh, shit, I could do that, man. Maybe with the foam.
when I first started watching it, so Devin is known to be like the ultimate troll. I just knew he was trolling everybody with that lift. I was like, what is that going to do?
like
What is that
you
gonna do?
lifted off the ground this much. What's it
right,
doing, right?
yeah, right.
So I actually started. So I beat Camille. I started doing that. Going into Camille, I started doing that, and I ended up breaking the new world record. Had became 179 pounds. And in my prep, I started at 129 because I'd done a 154 at this point. I ended up breaking the new world record, 179 and a quarter. I go win that match, come back home, and actually hit a 181 and a half shortly after the
Now,
match.
is that like in the Guinness Book of World Records?
Well,
type thing?
there's no documentation of it. There's just the people out there.
You need to do that.
The only
man.
people that can do it are arm wrestlers. There's not anybody off the street that's going to do it. Cause
Yeah.
you wrap around your thumb. It's going to try to, as soon as you fail the lift is when your palm turns up, when you try to lift it. So it's a very specific arm wrestling strength, which Devin knows how much that strength matters. Well, he was following me and watching and then getting ready for Gennady. I was going, he's like, Michael, please stop. Like, he actually calls me. It's like, dude, you're strong enough. Like, it's impossible to contain you anymore. You can stop. And I had 4 more lifts, 4 more PR days, because every day I was doing it, I was breaking the world record. Every single day I did it, right, leading to this thing. And Rebecca had already told me not to do it. And then he calls, and his son's with him. He's like, yeah, could you please just chill? So I actually did 1 more day of lifts, and then I took a week off, which I never do. I took a week of light work and then a week completely off. I normally just go heavy up to 8 days out, like break all my personal records 8 days out. They convinced me to take that week off, but that last lift was a new world record at 190. So Devin was able to stop Levon with a 165 pronation. I had a 190, and I just came back after winning this match and did a 191.5. So my next match, the Hermes Gasparini kid, my program that I got now that I just started, I should finish at 200-pound pronation. So the reason this Hermes match is so important, like I've already told you, listen, Levon's the goal.
Yeah.
But Levon's not the most important match. The only way I get to Levon is I have to go through Hermes. I win one more match and I pull Levon Sagashvili for overall number one in the world.
Right.
So I'm the number 5 guy. Hermes is the number 3 guy. Levon's the number 1 guy. So this next match, 1st of February.
When is this?
I can't tell the date yet, but it's 1st of February. Right?
Okay.
And it's in the United States.
Okay.
So and it's within driving distance for me.
Okay.
So that makes it much
It'll
better.
be in Arkansas.
Well, it's not in Arkansas. This was not in Arkansas. It's close. But the cool thing about it is I've already talked to our city. So I think I sent you.
Hang on, baby.
What?
Just a second. So
Fucking lot.
well, you kind of go in circle, but the cool thing about what he has just unveiled here is that if you go back just a year ago, social media was like, Michael's washed up. He's done.
Right.
He just needs to retire. It's over for him. He's too old. This is a young man's game. In his not the last match, but the one before, Camille even says
In the press conference.
in the press
There's
conference,
a new level, and I'm going to show you what that level is.
there's a new level in arm wrestling. I'm going to show you that new level. And well, of course, we know Michael
There's a
beats
very
him.
funny part about that, though, because he talks about the new level, right? And I knew this kid's got a great bent wrist press. He flashes most people. I'm like, listen, I'm going to put you in deep water. You've never been where I'm going to put you. He either wins in like 10 seconds or he loses. I was like, you're not going to know what to do once I stop you. Round 1, it's a bit. He fouls out. Round 2, I put the brakes on him, and he's going crazy. He ends up fouling again. And then the next restart, boom, stop him again. And he's just everything he's worth. This 310-pound dude just laying on him, pushing.
Man, I think I saw a video of that. You broke his spirit.
So
he got so upset because he couldn't do anything.
He
definitely
going
gonna flash this up to the
He had me
viewers.
this close, right?
Yeah.
And he just like knew I'm going to beat this guy. And then he got there and he just couldn't do anything. Well, the funny thing about it is somebody did a little clip saying, you know, he's a new level, and it shows me in between rounds 2 and 3 over in the corner doing air squats, and he's laying on his chair just dying, right? Like he can't breathe.
He was literally
he didn't have the
like,
capacity to go to a war, and I was
think his
prepared to
wife was fanning him.
Yeah, I was prepared to go to war that day, right? So I
Well, you
come
know,
in round 3 and
endurance is something that's always been one of your strongest things. You know, do you
Yeah,
feel like endurance, or you know, with all the technology out there today, like the superhuman protocol, people doing oxygen therapy, stuff like that. Do you do any of that stuff? Does that stuff help you?
So I have had a lot of great sponsors. I have a cold plunge just like you.
Yeah.
Elevate Health. I got a hyperbaric chamber from them. So, I mean, we got dry sauna. Everything that I can do to recover, especially at 51. I mean, recovery is just as important as training. Yeah, so I'm very heavy into recovery. I don't think there's such thing as overtraining, but I think there's under-recovering.
Yeah.
So I try to put as much emphasis on recovery as possible. But, yeah, I mean, the endurance part, really, to me, I have good endurance. I'm also really explosive, but I think it comes down to just my disgust for losing outweighs your desire to win. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like we're in the middle of a match. It's not, I did this much cardio. You did less. I'm going to beat you. No, it's going to be a point in the match where you think about quitting.
Right.
It's going to be a match where I think about quitting. If I'm thinking about quitting, I know you're about to quit. So I'm just not going to quit.
Right.
That's just what happens, right? Like
that's the stubbornness.
If I ever get to the point where I'm thinking about quitting, I'm just going to go a little bit longer, because if I'm thinking about it, I already know you're real close to quitting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's, like I said, young men's sport, new league, whatever.
But going from that,
everybody thought I should quit.
To everybody thinking he should quit, to now he is number 5 in the world.
You got a chance to get back to the one.
Bunch of young guys. Yeah, and chance at number 1.
Yeah, the guy just
at 51.
You
the guy
can't
just
put that
was
together.
38. The next guy's 31.
Yeah. Does that bother you, thinking, Father Time's going to catch up with you? Like, have you thought about that at all? Even though you're stronger now and you feel, you got this big run going, but eventually Father Time's going to catch you.
Well, it's not anytime soon. The best me is still to come.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, the best version of me is still to come. And just like Dr. Elamine said, I was competing with a very compromised arm. Like, I had lost 18 inches range of motion. My hand wouldn't come back past here. It wouldn't straighten past here. I mean, he fixed me where I can get my hand all the way up to here, right? And I still can't straighten it very well.
Right.
But he's like, dude, if you're winning world titles with that arm, wait till we fix this thing.
He couldn't even feel his last 2 fingers from like 2007.
Yeah, I had a compressed
Can you
ulnar nerve.
imagine trying to hang on to somebody not being able to feel
Right.
your hand? I mean,
Right, grip it.
So he
Now he
decompressed my
can't.
ulnar nerve, and I think that's like 1 millimeter a month. So it's been what, 18, 19 months. So it's getting back. Like,
so when you win a match like this, a big match, if you're going with number one, let's just say, you get there, which I think you will. All right. What do they pay for the winners?
Each contract's different.
Right.
But it's
what's the average?
No one's won 6 figures yet.
No.
No, there's never been a 6-figure payday for one match.
So let me ask you something. They got the sports like Slap out there. Slap's killing it, right? They're making
Killing it.
money. They're doing all kinds of things.
They're getting paid way better than we are.
Getting paid way better. Did you ever think about, giving a slap, man? You ever think about getting in that sport? I mean, come on.
I've been asked that several times.
I had Vern. Vern Cathy was on my show, and he's actually competing next month for the actual championship for the title. But they're a different breed, man. They're a different breed of people. Is that something you would do?
I mean, money's right. I'll pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
I'll get I was just talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson got paid what? I said I'll fight them both for what Mike Tyson got paid.
Well, yeah, you got paid $25 million.
Sure,
who wouldn't?
You give me a couple million, I'll get in the ring both of them right now. No training.
All right.
But you give me 6 months of training, I would.
Wait a second. Butterbean said the same thing.
I would happily fight Jake Paul.
Butterbean just called Jake Paul out, said $2 million winner takes all.
Oh, I mean, I would be down for that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Butterbean, is that who you said?
Yeah.
He's actually in pretty good health. He did the yoga and stuff now. So he's progressed quite a bit.
DDP helped him out.
I really have been looking for a celebrity boxing match or something for a while, but now the goal is too big.
Yeah.
I think slap, bro. I think I can see you slap, but you get the beard and
really
everything.
difficult for me to let somebody just hit me. I don't know how good.
But you got. But you know what? Once you take the one, I mean, look at them wrists. Look at that arm. Like,
I mean, you never know.
Wow.
I guess there could be a future past arm wrestling.
I'm just saying. I would definitely think we could probably market that pretty quick.
Well, if you got a plan, let's figure this out. What are the sponsors? What are we looking at?
Well, the good news is that you're willing to do it, because I can't tell you. I've had UFC people here that are in the UFC, and I asked them, would you do slap? Would you? Hell no. They're like, no, nobody's going to slap me.
At the end of the day, if I can do something to provide for my family, I'm down.
You're down.
Yeah. That's just
He's not scared.
We're going to get you in.
Get
you in.
Let me get through this. Here's the thing we haven't discussed yet, right? So Hermes is in February.
Yeah.
This is what I've negotiated. This is crazy to me. Once I win that match, and y'all show a picture of Lavanya? Have y'all showed this up?
Yeah, we'll flip it up. We're going to flip it up.
So that guy, like the world thinks is impossible. Once I beat Hermes, I've already got Hot Springs, where I live, my hometown, going to let us use the 5,500 person arena for that match.
Yeah.
I will get to compete for the highest prize in the sport, 5 miles from my home. Tell me any sport that a 51-year-old man, almost 52, can compete for the sport's highest prize. Do you know any?
Well, I mean, when you talk about the highest, arenas, like you talk like Madison Square Garden.
I'm talking about the highest prize, super heavyweight championship of the world.
Yeah.
Is there a boxer at 52 that can do it? Mike Tyson just tried to fight at 58.
Well, I was going to say, Mike Tyson tried.
I mean, is there any professional sport that you know of that a 50-year-old guy is the best in the world at it?
I still think Tom Brady's a hell of a quarterback. He ain't 50 yet, though. But
But
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to come up with that.
It's just the opportunity to have that 5 miles from my house.
Yeah.
With my hometown crowd. I'm gonna hit you with one right now that it may not happen, but it's really close.
Don't tell me it's your mom's birthday or something. The day she died or something.
Dude.
Mother's Day weekend.
Mother's Day weekend.
And my mother's birthday's on Mother's Day.
There you have it. Damn. It's meant to be.
It's so close. I mean, it's either going to be.
How did you know that?
It's meant to be.
It's
I
either
could tell by the look in his eyes.
Weekend.
I looked at his eyes. I could see it. I could see it.
You read that.
I saw. Yeah.
Very intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen, bro? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And let me tell you another thing too. Win or lose, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because you get there, and you get that opportunity.
Oh yeah,
and mom wants to see
I'm
that.
telling you, that's amazing, and I love that you said that. But there is zero chance on that day I'm losing.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's not happening. Like the unbeatable Georgian Hulk on that day is going to get swept 4-0. I'm not losing around.
I believe it. Hey, can we paint you green? Can you come in like the Hulk and just
is there a
just
sponsor
come
for
and go out there?
What's the sponsorship? You know what I'm saying?
Now there's a chance. There's a chance that it's not the Georgian Hulk. That it's actually.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there's an event in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now you were there when I beat Jerry Cutterette.
Yes.
Jerry Cutterette gets a shot at Levon in 3 weeks in Atlantic City.
Okay.
So there's a chance
that he could lose, but probably not.
I mean, it's a small chance.
Yeah.
Because you know Jerry, you've seen him. If he sticks that spot, and you've never been there, and you try to hold on, he will bleed you out.
Yeah.
I think Levon grabs him and runs right over him 4 straight matches.
Yeah.
I think it's uneventful, and I'm actually afraid for Jerry's arm.
Yeah.
I think Jerry could get hurt.
So, man, let's talk about that for a second. Did you watch a lot of film on competition stuff? Did you
I've never
study?
in my life studied until this comeback.
Yeah.
I'm
Do you think like it's helped you? I mean,
significantly,
because it's really all form. I mean, obviously, arm wrestling is form. It's technique. It's not just being the biggest.
Well, you have to have
guy.
the strength to execute the technique.
Right.
I'm noticing my previous match with Gennady, where I had made errors.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's an IQ that has to go with it to be successful, especially when you get to your level.
Right.
I mean, you're dealing with elites. You know what I mean? So people understand the difference between the holds. It's not like over the top, the old way, turn the hat on backwards. It's not. Well, I think you should
turn the hat around.
I think you should do that. I think you should do that. Though. Exactly.
But yeah, no, it really is. Like, it's helped me tremendously, and it's something that when she's talking about me learning, that's something that's new. Like, I never did. I always thought I'm gonna do what I do, and if I do what I do better, and if I do what I do at the best, it's better than what you can do at your best. So I never even trained for anybody. Didn't do anything different. I did me every time.
Yeah.
But now, and I still kind of do that, but I'm making game plans that I've never made before. I'm watching, okay, I should have done this in that match. Okay, look, here's a vulnerability. His wrist goes back right here. If you apply pressure right at the bottom, and so those things are really, my next match we just reviewed my match with Hermes back in 2017. I won 3-2, but I never even pinned him. He just fouled out 3 matches. People are like, oh, you never been. Well, I mean, it's his responsibility to keep his elbow down, so it's not my fault. I would have eventually won anyway. But I saw tons of errors that I made in that match, that I will not make again. But yeah, it really helps out a lot.
Do you ever get somebody that's maybe a competition that you've already beat, though, show them your film and say, hey, how would you beat me? Just to get some feedback?
I've never done that.
Yeah. Might be something to think about, because, obviously everybody pulls differently. And, just say, hey, what do you think my weaknesses are? Like, what do you see here that I did wrong? Because we don't always see ourselves, as far as everything. And they might say, hey, I would attack you this way.
He has actually talked to opponents, especially when Pablo came. He was his first match back.
Yeah.
So after the match, they have the discussion. Even though Michael beat him, he said, what did you feel? What areas did you feel that there might have been an opportunity? And one of them was this thing called cupping.
Right.
All right.
Being able to flex your wrist, right?
Yeah. And so right away, Michael started working on cupping. And that is basically what has led to him leveling up so quickly.
Significantly.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing with this opportunity, with this run, is I'm shutting down lanes that you could potentially beat me in, right? Like Devin Larrett and I were talking the other day, my pronation is so strong. He thinks is hanging on to me, trying to put me somewhere by gripping me strong, is no longer an option. Like, it's impossible to cut me. So you won't, your cup will not be strong enough to take my pronation and turn it up.
Yeah.
So that's a lane I'm shutting down. So there's no way you can hook me.
Yeah.
So the next lane is an outside lane where you have to attack me with up pressure and back pressure and try to come through my hand. Now, I'm not holding on to stop that, but because we're all going to slip, we're going to go to the strap. I have a pronation gauge back pressure machine that a year ago, I hit 200 pounds on it. So 200 pounds actual weight straight back. This last prep, I hit 280, and I'll program to do a 307.5. So take wrap around your thumb, wrap around your wrist, and take 307.5 pounds off the ground and kick it back. That's ready go. So on go, I'm cracking your wrist back.
Yeah.
So if I have that much pressure, how do you get me to your side of the table? How do you attack my hand if I've already pronated over 300 pounds? And I have a 200
You better get over
pronation?
400. This guy's over 400 pounds there for the championship, right?
Yeah.
Start him across the table, right?
Exactly. You
The
got
goal
to
for him
move.
is actually 330. 150 kgs, 330 pounds, in my mind, plus the 210-pound pronation lift will be enough to stop the match.
Yeah.
But the cupping, like she was talking about, I could barely cup like 140 or something. So I started way lighter. My first match in the super heavyweight, when I pulled Camille, I did a 150 for 50 reps. Mm-hmm. So I take this cupping machine, I did 150 pounds, 50 reps. My last preparation, I did 170 for 50.
Yeah, and it's just taking a weight.
And just 50 reps like that. I'm programmed for Hermes to do a 185 for 50. So that's very high level. Like, it's pretty crazy to do. I mean, to reach your wrist into a 2-inch spinning handle and just break it for one and then to rep it for 50.
Yeah.
Those are just things that it's just going to happen because I do these lifts every other day. I program everything that way.
You worry about getting hurt? You worry about pulling a muscle or doing something like that?
I've torn everything.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the left arm landed on a table behind me in the world title match in 2010. 2016, in preparation for the World Championships in Poland, I blew my left lat on October 19th. I blew my right pec on October 30th. The tournament was 20 days later. I still went and competed black and blue from weights up. I've blown both hamstrings. I blew the bicep off the bone. My left shoulder, I had a partially torn supraspinatus and a completely torn subscap. Got a bunch of stem cells. The supraspinatus reattached. The subscap's still apart. And I'm like, how am I able to use it? The doctor's like, everything around it's just so strong. It's just holding it in place.
So there's still hope for me, man. My shoulder's shot. I was supposed to get, you know.
Yeah, so I mean, fears of injuries, I've already had them all happen. So there's no fear.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially when I believe what I'm doing is bigger than me. And I'm like, if for some reason I didn't win, I'm not going to, it's God's plans. God's got a plan, whatever his plan is.
So listen, let's sum this all up. We manifest this a little bit, okay? You're going to win this next match. It's going to get you to the final. We're going to have it on Mother's Day. You win. You do the unthinkable. You're at the top of the world. What's next for Michael Todd?
This might surprise you. So we were driving in the RV, our last trip, and we did the tour in 2021. Remember that?
Yeah.
We raised like $100,000, bought an RV, nationwide tour, all 48 states. Rebecca's like, I want to go back on the road. And I'm like, maybe we just go on the road and tell the story of how God,
Just tell a story.
Yeah.
Tell a story.
Yeah.
People can use a little bit of belief.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody needs it. And that's what I love about a comeback. Everybody likes a comeback, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They always love the person that gets knocked down and gets back up and comes back. That's the story. And you're obviously in a great spot to be able to do that. You're already doing it.
Right.
Let's just say you're in the process of it. It's already been done. You've already overcome some of the worst tragedies in somebody's life, and you're saying, hey, here I am still competing at the age of 51. Right. Which is astronomical. So, kudos to you, man. Seriously, a lot of hope out there. I do believe you are going to get to that final chapter that you're trying to achieve. Right. But you got to also sit back and say, okay, how does Michael want to be remembered in the arm wrestling community? Because I know you as a person, and I know people are brutal at times. They bully online at times. The social media gets rough at times. Right. How do you want to be remembered?
So this answer is different than what it probably used to be. I really don't. For me, I don't really want the credit. I just want. He's a guy that believed in God. Show the world all things are possible.
There you have it.
But yeah, I guess after the tour, I'm going to be slapped. Right?
That's right, baby.
I guess that's what we got.
That's what we got.
There you go. That's what happens after I accomplish the impossible.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. And there you have it, folks. Another episode of WamBam's Podcast. As Monster Michael Todd says, through God, anything is possible, baby. Don't worry about the situation you're in. If you're struggling, if you're suicidal, remember, there's a lot of people out there for help. Please get the help you need. Just where you are today doesn't define where you'll be tomorrow. And as always, baby, as WamBam always says, if your life was a movie, would it be worth watching? And if the answer is no, then stop being ordinary and start being extraordinary. Till next Wednesday, I'm your boy WamBam. Stay positive, baby, and keep testing negative. And I'm out.
That's a good play.